We are back at the beach, returning to old school video to talk about the perfect topic, and that's the cheapest beach towns in the entire Gulf Coast of Florida for 2024. The title says 10, and 10 was my intent. I was gonna do the top 10. But in order to get the top 10 cheapest beach towns, I needed to know information on 100% of them. So in order to not do you a disservice, I'm gonna intercept this title and I'm gonna rank all of them. So we're gonna start at 25, most expensive. We're going to number 1. I'm gonna move quick, so this is somewhat consumable. My name is Adam Hancock. You have returned to the Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel, your smartest way to buy, sell, and or invest in the entire state of Florida. And without further ado, let's hop in. All right, number 25 on our list, and technically the most expensive beach town in all of 2024, comes in at Gasparilla Island / Boca Grande or Boca Grande, depending on who you are. Median cost-wise, we were hit with about $3.8 million. When it comes to geography, you're gonna be a real in-betweener here. So you're both 1.5 hours roughly from Sarasota, Florida, General Metro where I stand here today, and also 2 hours north of the Naples, Florida Metro, so sandwiched between absolutely lovely districts. And that segues me perfectly into my lifestyle conversation, because you are close by those districts, but you're not on them, which gives you something interesting. It gives you not only a 1% type luxury enclave, but it's an oasis. It is a retreat. It's kind of by itself, a paradise of sorts. And this place is known for a combination of, one, the tarpon fishing capital in a lot of people's eyes, not just of Florida, not just of the United States, but of the world, and also an idyllic downtown and a low developed area that remained a lot of its nature-centric romanticism that it had originally. All right, number 24 on our list, we're talking the lovely Siesta Key, Florida. Median cost, we're gonna drop just a tad here to just below $2.8 million. Locationally, I think we have one of the most interesting on the list as a whole, because you're gonna sit in true Sarasota County, but you're below Sarasota city limits and you're above Venice, Florida. So right now you got an 8-mile long end-to-end barrier island, 2 bridges. One of those bridges takes you north directly to literally where I'm standing right here, to Turtle Beach. So that's southern Siesta Key, which world-renowned, 3-beach end-to-end island that a lot of people really enjoy. But to your south, it takes you to the mainland and spits you to Venice. And you have historic downtown Venice, which is like a quaint baby of the combination of Siesta Key Village and Anna Maria Island, probably. Really close to the water. It's the only non-barrier island. You have downtown Welland, which is the brand new downtown they built that's absolutely lovely. One of the most in vogue districts from a master plan standpoint in the whole United States right now. And then downtown Sarasota, Lido Beach, Longboat Key, Lakewood Ranch is 45 minutes, waterside and all that has to offer. But you go to Siesta Key, for similar reasons you go to Boca Grande. It's for privacy. It's for privacy, seclusion, a level of luxury that you simply cannot get on most of those other islands I mentioned, but you're also not as desolate as Gasparilla Island. You're right in the thick of it. You look to your front and you have the Gulf. You look to your rear, you have the intercoastal, and it's a really, really interesting combination. If that's for you, it's low developed. It's one of the best road biking areas that exists. And it's just kind of this peaceful retreat in maybe the most popular general metro in the entire state. All right, number 23 on our list, we're talking Naples, Florida itself. And I'm gonna hit the median cost real quick just to stay in tune with our rhythm. And then I'll talk about what I mean by Naples. So we came in at about $1.9 million, so you continue to see our cascade down. All right, what I mean by Naples here, obviously, because that's a large area, there's multiple other beach towns on this list that are also in that area. I mean basically the strip above Marco Island that hugs the Gulf, running up to about Vanderbilt Beach. So you could use like Aqualane shores as a landmark. But I also mean east to west. I literally circled what I would consider proximity-wise qualifying as a beach town. So we get the Naples-Sarasota comparison a ton. And I would say if Naples wins out in a large way in any category, it's right here. If you're gonna really choose Naples and try to have an argument with someone about why it's better, if this is anywhere near your criteria, we're talking this particular section is the best of the best of the best of all the value that would make Naples an amazing place to live. So in essence, you could get 10,000 square foot, unbelievable house, whether that's a resale or urban infill new construction home, dead front direct access, private access potentially, to the Gulf of Mexico. You have direct access to the bay. You get the right neighborhood like an Aqualane Shores, deep water canals, so you can get very large boats in there. And then when it comes to lifestyle, just be on your own, if that's not enough for you. then really when people say Naples, it's very far south. So the downtown Naples, all of like the real value that's not in the Fort Myers area is clustered in one area. So you look right behind you in this area, because it's not separated by barrier islands, it's incredibly closer because that separation actually matters a lot. And then you get 3rd Avenue, 5th, you get downtown Naples, and it's a level of luxury and sophistication that beyond like on the Gulf Coast especially, it's not abundant. Like you see that in Miami, you see that in West Palm Beach, but the level of luxury here when it comes to condominiums and single family homes with all of that lifestyle amenities, you just don't see that a ton in Sarasota, you don't see that a ton in Tampa. You know, Pensacola is a lesser so than a lot of the other ones on the Gulf Coast. So anyway, I digress there. That's how I'd categorize Naples, and let's hop to number 22. Okay, coming in at number 22 on my list was Lido Key, Florida, with a median cost right around $2 million. And if you're asking yourself, why is number 22 more expensive than number 23? Well, there was a lot more data that went into the formula I wrote in order to arrange this video. It was not just 360 days of sales with an average and a median, but it was also all the active listings, all the pending listings, and the cost of living. It just shakes out like this, and median cost is the only thing I'm relaying just to give you quick context. But Lido Key basically is a really nice happy medium. So we hop back to the Sarasota, Florida Metro, and you're really central. So you have Siesta Key below you, you have Longboat Key and Anna Maria Island above you, and you have downtown Sarasota adjacent. So while everybody's shooting to these destination spots that are always on the top 10 lists, you know, i.e. the Siesta Key and the quartz white sand and all that kind of stuff, Lido kind of sits in the middle, a little bit underrated. Lovely, lovely beach, but you really have everything at your disposal. Sarasota, Florida, like I've referred in the past, of this magical triangle idea of, you know, downtown, bay, beach, beach. Well, Lido sits right in the middle of it. So you're 3.5 miles one way to downtown Sarasota. The bay's in between. You have all the shopping, dining, everything you could possibly want. And there is a really, really lovely high-end shopping district called St. Armand's Circle. Real cosmopolitan. It's like 100+ shops and boutiques that sits right in front of the main beach access. So you kind of can go to this place that is a little bit less populated. And really everything you'd want about Southwest Florida in a lot of capacities is right here. So that's how I'd summarize that. Okay, number 21 on my list is Anna Maria Island, Florida. And you can really group in basically the northern tips. So throw in Holmes, throw in Redington Beach, basically everything above northern Longboat Key. We came up with a median cost of about $1.3 million, and we're back in the Sarasota, Florida Metro in Manatee County, adjacent to western Bradenton. So a couple things with this one of why you'd end up here. One, on just the pure lifestyle element. This is really like a throwback old Florida feel. It's protected development. You're not going to see the luxury condominiums. You know, the closer you get to Anna Maria Island especially, it's that kind of paradise that the tranquil paradise that you picture online. It really has that kind of feel. It's got that vibe and really interesting spot. On a much more contextual value, if you're already considering the Sarasota, Florida Metro, so that's your ceiling, then this is one of the directions you'd actually go in prospectively to save a little bit of money. Because the further you get from what the minds of the people deem important, i.e. downtown Sarasota, central proximity, just, you know, kind of like what a Lido provides of like just everything being there, that's a way to save a little bit of money. And if you want to get near the water and you're fine with, you know, being 30, 40 minutes one way to the main town, then that also is an option. Number 20, Bonita Beach / Barefoot Beach, coming in with a median cost of about $1.18 million. We're going back down south here to the Naples, Florida Metro, but we're gonna be slightly north of Marco Island, downtown Naples, Naples Beach, that whole general area. This is going to offer a more laid back, less commercialized atmosphere overall. More relaxed, unspoiled beaches, and I would say generally more family friendly. Number 19 on our list is Captiva Island / Caia Costa, coming in with a median cost of around $1.15 million. This is a small barrier island located just north of its sister Sanibel and very close to Fort Myers, Florida. So while Sanibel Island, if you're familiar with that at all, may be known for its shelling, its even family friendly atmosphere, Captiva Island is going to take the idea of a secluded, intimate retreat kind of island even a step further. So if you're looking for a slower pace of things, you're looking for unspoiled beaches, connected to nature, and less populous overall without completely losing access to a large metro and a large mainland area, then this could be the one for you. Number 18 is Longboat Key, Florida, coming in with a median cost of about $1.18 million. This one's located back in the Sarasota, Florida Metro, north of Siesta Key and Lido Key, south of Anna Maria Island, and almost exactly 50% in both Sarasota and Manatee counties. The way I'd categorize this one briefly as it orients to the town is it's going to be a lot more homestead and more than 50% of the year resident friendly. Don't get me wrong, people definitely visit, there's tourist options, but it's not near as conducive the way its infrastructure is set up to be that crazy kind of party tourist destination. It's gonna be a lot more privatized. Large single family homes, tons of condominiums, and it's a very narrow island. So because of that, it's very hard to either not have bay or beach at your really easy disposal, depending on where you're at. Number 17 is Marco Island, Florida, coming in with a median cost of $1.1 million. When it comes to geography, you basically have the southernmost relevant tip on the entire Southwest Florida conversation. So you're south of Naples, but beyond the Everglades, you're basically going east. I would summarize this one as a really, really nice mix of both relaxation and activity. Shopping, dining, fishing, boating, anything you could want when it comes to what you picture of enjoying our 360 days of basic sunshine here, you have right here, but in a very natural and unique setting. Number 16 is my hometown of Siesta Key, Florida, coming in with a median cost of about $920,000. Finally made it to the sub $1 million mark. Locationally, you're gonna be pretty central Sarasota, Florida here. So you're Belleair Island, adjacent to central to South Sarasota, north of Venice, south of Lido, south of downtown, south of Longboat Key. 7 to 8 mile long island with actually 3 beaches on it. A lot of people talk about Siesta like it's one thing, but it's actually the whole thing. So the northern tip of the island has Siesta Key Beach, middle is Crescent Beach, the lower southern tip is Turtle Beach. There's 2 shopping villages also on the island. The main one is Siesta Key Village. Most of the action's north, and there's also one in the middle. 2 bridges, one takes you south, one takes you north, 6 miles north to downtown Sarasota. And overall, a generally more laid back, approachable, real kind of traditional tourist vibe to it as a whole. Number 15, we are back talking about Sanibel Island, Florida. Median cost $960,000, and again, we're gonna be north of Naples and very close to the Fort Myers, Florida mainland. This island stands out in a couple really distinct areas. One is the way the east to west orientation is, as this sits adjacent to the Gulf of Mexico, creates a unique environment for seashelling. So if you're into this especially, the abundance of them, the variety, the types, all that kind of thing, it's like no other. Secondly, they're also really, really committed to wildlife conservation. So if you're nature centric, if you are into bird watching, anything of the sorts, amazing place to be, as well as kayaking, biking, and much, much more. Number 14 on our list, we are heading to the Florida Panhandle for the very first time, and we're talking about the 30A district. Median cost of about $981,000. And when people refer to 30A, what they're saying is a stretch of scenic road that hugs the emerald green waters of the Florida Panhandle. And it's a variety platter of sorts of a group of beach towns that sit right next to each other that just have couldn't be more unique when it comes to style, architecture, variety of homes, and everything in between. The area as a whole is known for, one, its white sand. It's got that sugar kind of sand that, a Siesta Key or Anna Maria does, but its real dedication to protecting its natural infrastructure. A lot of the parts of this area are even like technically part of national parks, and many other things that will in essence keep over-commercialization from happening and just protect the true old school Florida environment that it naturally has. Number 13, we are heading to Tampa Bay, Florida to talk about Belleair Beach. Median cost-wise, we're sitting at about $900,000. Geography, south of Clearwater Beach, north of St. Pete, and technically in a county called Pinellas. It's known for being quiet, residential, private, beautiful beaches, unspoiled, lack of commercial development, luxurious waterfront homes, and being close enough to maybe the best big city the state has to offer with the general Tampa Bay area. Number 12 is Redington Beach, Florida, which is basically the southern neighbor of our previous one, Belleair. Median cost is $851,000. So we're still in that Tampa Bay general area. We're south of Clearwater. We're north of St. Pete. And what Redington has, one, it has a lot of the same stuff I mentioned earlier. It's more peaceful, much more residential, but this one's a real in-betweener. When people come to this town, they typically will shoot to St. Pete Beach, maybe Paso Grill, Treasure Island, Clearwater Beach, these main areas. But islands like Redington, or areas like Redington, have a little bit less commercial things going on, less facilities. It has public accesses, but not large parking lots. So if you're looking to kind of find your own little sanctuary because it's not as attractive to the every tourist, then this would be a good spot. Number 11 is going to be Manasota Key, Florida, coming in with a median cost of about $790,000. We are the southernmost coastal tip, basically, of the Sarasota, Florida metro. So it's below Sarasota, it's below Venice, about as far south as you'd want to go before it almost runs out. And that kind of translates into how the lifestyle orients to what this area means in general as well. And what I mean by that is, say you come in town with a certain criteria, you're obviously seeking a coastal lifestyle, and it just doesn't quite work in those main Siesta Key, Longboat Key areas, and you work your way south a lot of times, people end up looking at Venice. Well, the Venice island is both its downtown and its kind of water frontage area. So if that's just too much hustle and bustle for you, you're not into all the new construction going on with Welland Park, then you might work your way south to Manasota Key in a much more private, secluded, nature-centric, and everything that would come with that. But typically that is the order that people shop it, and that is the way it's viewed overall to the state. We have made it to the 10, and our 10th cheapest beach town for 2024 is Indian Rocks, based in Tampa Bay, Florida, coming in with a median cost of about $835,000. And you're gonna see the similar theme here, but this one's quite a bit north, and you're sitting just below Clearwater Beach. So I would say from a differentiation standpoint, it just kind of strikes a nice balance. It's very private, it's very residential, unspoiled, all those kind of things I've mentioned several times, but it also has enough local restaurants and things going on just to make it interesting. But it doesn't go full bore downtown Clearwater, or it doesn't go full bore the other direction of complete isolation. Number 9, Madeira Beach, Florida, median cost of about $787,000. Heading back to the Tampa Bay, Florida area, a little further south, closer to St. Pete in this conversation. And I would say another in-betweener. You know, just like I mentioned Redington Beach, this area is gonna fall secondary most times to its more popular neighbors. It's not as perfect, sand and all that kind of thing. We're splitting hairs here. But the big claim to fame this one has going for it is an area called John's Pass. So there is a really cool, large, like fisherman's village of shops and restaurants and cool vibe to the whole thing. It also hugs the intercoastal in a way that makes it really attractive for paddleboarding and kayaking and all that kind of thing. But overall, it would be another one to, one, save a little bit of money, or to find something a little bit different than the main tourist destinations. Number 8 is the world-renowned St. Pete Beach, Florida, median cost of about $725,000. And again, we're sticking on this rhythm of Tampa Bay, but in the strip of these barrier islands I've been mentioning, like Belleair and Redington and Madeira and all these, basically Clearwater Beach is almost the northernmost tip before it runs out of the beach side, and St. Pete gets almost the southernmost tip. So this is a very southern conversation. But that's important for this area to the state, because downtown St. Pete, lovely, lovely districts, actually on the bay. So obviously the beach is on the Gulf. So you gotta go east to west, but downtown St. Pete is much more adjacent to the southern areas. So it's a lot closer to enjoy all those amenities if you're in the St. Pete, Madeira, Treasure Island area than it is to come diagonally from Indian Rocks. So that's just food for thought there. And then if you just like, you know, this is a touristy spot. So if you like more stuff, more restaurants, more shops, more dining, if you like being around the people and you just don't want to get too desolate and drive 45 minutes to everything, this could be a nice one for you. Number 7 on our list is Fort Myers Beach, Florida / Estero Island, median cost of about $720,000. And obviously we're in this Naples area, we're north of Naples, we're south of Captiva Island. And the way that I would best look at this, or I think about this, is almost like a juxtaposition. So Naples Beach, which I mentioned way earlier on the list, would be known on one side of like sophisticated, refined, definitely upscale. Fort Myers Beach and the Estero Island area would generally be more about lively beach fun. It's got a nightlife, it has more things going on, it's a lot more laid back, a lot more approachable. And if you're looking for that kind of scene, it's a melting pot full of people, then this might be more your speed. On to number 6, we're talking Treasure Island, Florida, median cost of about $713,000. And we're back in Tampa Bay, almost an identical conversation that I mentioned about St. Pete, Florida. Basically the same location, very similar cost, same attraction to being southern, downtown St. Pete, and the like. But if I had to basically divide the two, I would say St. Pete is gonna be your more, not party scene, but vibrant scene. Treasure Island, slightly more family friendly. But the way I would look at these is almost synonymous to a point, because if you live in either one, this might come down to the physical house or condo. If you live in either one, to say they're not interchangeable is not true. You can literally walk from one to the other. So that's how I would categorize that. All right, we have made it to our top 5, and the 5th cheapest beach town in the entire Gulf Coast of Florida for 2024, believe it or not, is Clearwater Beach. Median cost of $679,000. And like I briefly touched on earlier, you're basically the northernmost tip of relevant barrier islands in the entire Tampa Bay, Florida metro. And a couple of things that I find attractive if you're differentiating against the other 24 on the list is one, similar to St. Pete Beach, this has commercial infrastructure. You have a downtown, you have things going on. Of course, you have beautiful beaches. The sand's amazing, but you have infrastructure. You could live, work, and play technically in this kind of town. You're also very, very close to Caladesi Island, which is just slightly north of it, and that ranks individually on top beach lists by itself. A real oasis, but you could live a little closer to the stuff. And then finally, you know, the one thing that I always stands out to me about this place is like, I feel like a lot of people online or that maybe like haven't visited yet but are thinking about visiting, like view this as like this big like party kind of thing, like boardwalks and vibrant, and it has some of that, but I think it's a much more docile environment than people realize. So I think if you want a little bit more, like you can't live somewhere where it's like completely desolate, but it's not like insane all the time, then I think that could be a really nice blend. Number 4 is Don Pedro Island, Florida, median cost of $687,000, south of Sarasota, north of Fort Myers, and this would be your true oasis escape. Basically only accessible by boat and ferry, fishing, shelling, and relaxation. If you're looking for maybe the opposite of those busier, commercially infrastructure viable towns, then this is the one. Number 3 on our list, we are going to combine Destin, Florida with Miramar Beach and head back over to the Florida Panhandle. A median cost of about $623,000 over the previous year. And this is a real targeted destination spot. So towns like this that are supported real heavy by, you know, tourist attraction have great commercial infrastructure. So I would say a nice mix of luxury and leisure with this one. So upscale dining and shopping, you have tons of golf. It's known as, I think, technically the world's luckiest fisherman's village. The water's amazing, the sand's amazing. But if you're looking to be in this part of Florida and maybe the 30A scenic district is a little too remote for you, then this could be a nice happy medium. All right, and the runner-up for our 2024 cheapest beach towns list is Venice Island, Florida, which I believe was bumped from the number 1 spot last time I did this. Median cost of about $600,000. And this is Sarasota. So it's below Siesta Key, it's above Englewood and Manasota Key, and it sits right in that area. But it's interesting for many, many reasons, in a large part due to it not being a barrier island. Many, many items on this list I mentioned are barrier islands, bridge to beach, mainland to beach, which makes the separation of them just larger for good and bad. Well, if you don't have one, it feels so much more coastal. Almost, I believe 100%. If you live anywhere on this island, you can walk to the beach, and it has the downtown of the actual town. Downtown Venice is on this beach as well. So everything's kind of right there. And it's just a much more laid back version of everything you get in Sarasota for the most part. And in addition to the island itself, you have Venice Beach, which fronts it. But you also have Casperson Beach, which is the shark's tooth capital of the world. And you have Brohard Beach, which is the only dog beach in the county. All right, and our number 1 overall for our 2024 list, Panama City Beach, coming in with the only median price point under $500,000, sitting at about $485K. So the best way I would describe this, now that you have all this context, is a juxtaposition. We're back in the Florida Panhandle, and if you were looking for a more laid back and upscale town that was really focused and centric on fishing and boating especially, then Destin, Florida could be a great spot. However, if you're looking for a more lively and varied entertainment scene with a ton of things to do, whether that comes to nightlife or family-friendly activities, then Panama City Beach in the Florida Panhandle could be your spot. Okay, that is a wrap for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed both the content and the format. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing to the channel if you've not already done so. The Florida Relocation Guide YouTube channel here is a place that we try to give you the most information humanly possible on the Southwest Gulf Coast especially. So Tampa Bay, Sarasota General, Naples General. So if this resonated with you at all, please consider tuning in. Most Sundays and most Wednesdays, we will have videos of all different kinds. Again, my name is Adam Hancock, and we have a few other things going on if you want to go a step further. One, we have a newsletter. It's kind of like a manifesto of sorts. We're reintroducing a concept that I used to do, where basically, like, I spend all my time researching, all my time talking to my team about, you know, what happens from here to all the purchases, and we see all the data. So I do, and not, this isn't a great format for everybody. So we're gonna have basically like my brain dump from everything I'm doing, working on, trying to figure out, and everything that customers did based on that information once a month, probably the last day of the month. And I believe we're gonna re-release it in March 2024, depending on when you're watching that video. You can email us, you can go on the website, thesunshinestateco.com, and sign up for that. That is also the place where you'll find our free guides. We have relocation guides. When I build tools to research these videos, I give those away on the site as well. You'll see a free resource tab. We have all kinds of stuff there, so please consider checking that out. And of course, low-hanging fruit, If you are looking at buying, selling, or investing in the state of Florida, I own a brokerage called the Sunshine State Company. Full-scale residential, we can do everything. We specialize in relocation, new construction, and investment, and the like. So please consider reaching out. And thank you guys most importantly for watching today's video. We'll see you on the next one.